All right, so continuing along here in chapter 4, we are working on the hanger jaw this time. The hanger jaw is part of a feature design tree chapter. And to this point, we've kind of talked about some parametrics and adding relations, and honestly, this is one of the shortcomings of the book. Here we are in chapter 4, and we have still not really talked about parametrics. I mean, I have, and they've kind of touched on them, but I think you're going to find with this week that these are very difficult to draw without doing some relationships. So just follow along. Make sure you're hammering down on these relationships just like I am. Again, the next chapter is where you'll really learn the bread and butter that is design. But for now, the hanger jaw is another imperial template part. We can achieve this in just well, probably 3 features. It'll feel like 2. It'll be 2 sketches, 3 features. But, we're going to draw the side view of this part, essentially drawing this entire little profile here up to this line. And then on the top view, we will draw the arc connection here and the hole and push it in. A lot of sketch work, but we can make it work. So, I still have the bracket open from last time. Wouldn't you know? Okay, so it's an inch part, so we're going to start an imperial template. And, conveniently, we've got that sketch at the ready, so we'll go ahead and fire it up on this front plane. It's a lot of geometry, so I'm going to start with, I'm going to point it out because there's so much geometry here. I'm going to start with this spot right here, this little corner, the little bottom. I'm going to put it on the origin. And again, we've talked about it. Technically, you want parts to be centered on the origin, in all directions or with reference to a hole or something. But we don't know the intent. This is crazy part. I think it'll just be easy to put it right there. So that's where we're going to use it. So let's start by drawing from that origin a line that is approximately 2.75 long. And horizontal, by the way. We're going to do a little slanted line and then draw straight up. And we're going to draw a line like this. And let's see. We'll draw straight up from here. And then this is going to be the line that connects to that large vertical pass. And be careful. I don't know if you saw, I was trying to do like a random 90-degree dimension right there. Always be careful that it's not trying to establish some kind of constraint you don't want, an inverted constraint. Now I'm going to skip the fillet for here for now. So we're just going to draw a line straight down. And we're actually going to turn off the command, draw a line straight up from the origin. And draw a line just arbitrarily over. And then we'll put a circle in here, but for now we can just kind of use what we have and kind of make it work. So I'm going to extend. Oh, I thought I'd put it on extend entities. Weird. I'm just going to extend it manually. Okay, and I'll trim it. And again, you can hold control to pivot if you control middle mouse button. We're going to draw a circle over here. And we're going to start putting them relations in. So I'm going to select the circle, select the bottom line and make it tangent. And we'll select the circle again. I just close that. Select the circle, select the side line, we'll make it tangent. A little sluggish sometimes. Okay. And we will trim. And then we're going to trim the inside of that circle as well. And we can do the same thing up here, but technically we can also do a fillet up here. We could have done the same down there, admittedly, but I like to show a few different ways to do things. So the fillet is going to be 0.5. We're going to choose here and here and hit OK. And there we go. Now, if you notice, the fillet does add the dimension. I think it's important to know to do this too, because sometimes you're going to find that doing fillets deletes geometry you don't actually want to delete. Okay, so when I changed that dimension, it scaled everything, as you can see. So let's go ahead and take a moment and throw in some dimensions. Let's do the 0.75. Now, if you notice, that 0.75 dimension is a little tricky. Let's pull that over and look at it. 0.75 goes to this edge here, right? You can see it clearly goes to that face. But additionally, it appears that that R1.25 dimension goes to that same point. So keep in mind that, I mean, you've already deduced this point probably, but that is saying that the center mark happens at the end point of this line. So that's why I dimensioned up here, but you can see right here that that circle does not reside in the same position. We'll fix that in a minute though. For now, let's keep dimensioning. Okay, so we've got this line is 0.5. And you know, it's pretty mindless just going through and slapping these dimensions in, but you know, that's the perk of having reference like this, is you really don't have to put too much thought into it. You're just kind of recreating. Now eventually when you're, you know, in the field, you're going to be the one making these. There is not going to be a reference really, but you know, for now you can just kind of mindlessly put in these dimensions as you're learning, and yeah, it won't be too bad, you know. But there's a lot to learn with the nuances of what matters and where to place it. And for now, there's really not reason to talk about why they're putting dimensions where they are too much anyway. All right, so this line will act as the quadrant. Again, I'm going to pull it over, the picture. We're dimensioning this 2 dimension now, and that line that I've drawn will be right there. In the top view, we'll add the rest of this semicircle in. So we're just going to put in that dimension of 2. Let's do the overall height, which is 4.75. And let's see, what else do we need? This guy right here, 1.25. Let's see, what else do we have? Up here, we need to dimension this to be 0.25. And it looks like the last thing is probably, and we can do this 2 ways. Again, I kind of talked about there's 2 ways to do things. You can grab this point, pull it, let it lock in. It might error. This one actually errored out. We can also do this number, grab the 2 vertices and do a merge, or coincident technically. It'd be technically, yeah, coincident. I was thinking about, ironically, a completely different program called Maya, but it did error. So let's see why it errored. Yep. So we're going to undo that first and foremost. I think the answer is simply this dimension right here is redundant. So let's try this one more time. There we go. Yep. Now, is the dimension probably the same? It should be, in theory, right? It is. So that's where, you know, you might have to finagle a bit. And as you saw, what happened was I, you know, over-constrained it, which is a real problem. And they really don't cover that much in the book. But if, you know, you try to do too much, like, I don't know if I can really do anything that's worth showing. In that case, it says you want to make a driven dimension. No. But what if I tried to do, like, a dimension like this? Again, it's going to prompt you. So it's really hard to break it. That was a rare opportunity I should have took. But, you know, don't make driven dimensions. That means they're worthless. They're just for reference. But in a situation like that, if it's over constrained, just undo and realize that there's geometry conflicting with geometry, and you need to go about solving it in a meaningful way. So as you saw, you know, I needed to delete this linear dimension so that I could locate the circle, which ended up having the same value. It just locked this in. And so that's kind of a sequencing issue, which is admittedly tough. But, you know, so I'm here to guide you. So solution here. So let's go ahead and do an extrusion, a depth of 3 at the midplane. You know, one of my biggest hangups with SolidWorks is how slow it is. There's a lot of snap, crackling, and popping when you do anything, it feels like. Okay, so I'm going to draw on the top face of this this piece here, and we're going to project that edge that we have. And remember, that edge represents the quadrant of the circle. So this part will be pretty cool. We can draw from the midpoint just straight to the end of the line and trim it. And that's what we were missing. So we'll, you know, be able to add it, and then we'll draw the circle, which is a radius of 1.5. And, you know, just for the heck of it, I'm a tidy kind of person. I'm going to select the projected line and just say for construction and, you know, make it look a little prettier. Well, actually, you know what? No, I'm not. I said that, but I forgot we're adding this portion, so disregard that. Okay. Cool. So we've got two things we need. We need to add this portion and we need to subtract this portion. So we've got two different features, clearly. We're going to select this so it can guess, and it'll probably get it wrong. You know, it's close. We're going to clear that and let it do it again. And we will do 2 vertex. Whoops, wrong selection. Actually, you know what? We're going to do up to next and flip it. Boom. See that? Very nice. Okay. Now, this is another thing. I cannot recall in SolidWorks if you can very intuitively share sketches, so we're going to find out. Initial impression, probably not, but let's find out. Okay, it works. So let me just walk through what I just did there real quick. So when you create a feature, the second it's created, they turn your sketch visibility off. It's no longer visible in the area. The icon looks like this. Now, if you want to reuse it, you can click on it. There's 2 ways. You can right click, eyeball, hit show. You can also click and then wait and click again and do eyeball. And that essentially shows the sketch again. And now the icon has changed. And we can do the extruded cut now, essentially reusing that feature or that sketch from that feature, despite the fact that we didn't, you know, make a new one, which is pretty convenient, needless to say. So we're going to do it through all, both ways for the heck of it. Let it cut. And there we go. Really not too bad. Nuance thing again. Hide that sketch when you're done. You know, it doesn't turn it off because it's a shared sketch, but we still don't want to see that. It's a bit of an eyesore. You know, when you get to this level, though, I would advise you, you know, to start checking a little better. You know, like I'm kind of drawing these and all willy-nilly doing it, but this is really where you should start to measure what you're doing. You know, you can use the Evaluate tab in the Measure tool, and you can start testing these things. So you're like, oh, yeah, I need to make sure this is 3 from here to here, you know. You can do that. You can check and says distance 3, you know, or, you know, you could do, let's see. Oop. Well, I hit the open button. You could do like a dimension here. And it says, you know, the radius is 1.5. You could do, you know, like a face-to-face. I forgot to turn the command on. Here we go. And it gets a little more complicated, but if you look very closely, you can see a clear horizontal line down here. It's red, and that's 4.5. And so, you know, it's a very odd interface that it uses. I'm not a big fan, but you can see the lines it projects showing what you're measuring between. I would highly suggest you start measuring what you're doing. It's one of the only ways to ensure that you are truly making it correctly. So, you know, get in the habit now. It'll help you as well. There's so many different things that benefit you to try to start doing early and get in that habit. Okay, so new folder, new assignment here. Boom. We're going to save it. That's it for this one.